Good morning, everyone. It is the 25th. I just got back last night from my trip, and it's 7:19 in the morning. So I got a little over 7 hours. I woke up at like 3:43, and then had this kind of, I don't know if epiphany is the right word, but it was, I understand that loneliness is actually a choice. Being alone, well, there's kind of two ways to tackle being alone. First is you can really enjoy your alone time. Like, I do enjoy alone time. And then we aren't actually ever alone, even if we're by ourselves. Because, well, first of all, we're all connected together. So in a, like, spiritual sense, everyone's connected. And then from a perspective of the one, we're all, because we are all one, this godly, holy, divine, whatever you want to call it, this oneness, this one creator being, it's inside all of us. And knowing that, you aren't alone, because the one is within you. So there are multiple ways to look at being alone. And being alone is totally fine. The issue comes in when you turn that into loneliness, or a fear of loneliness, a fear of being alone that turns into loneliness. And I don't know if this was part of my dream or while I was awake or whatever, but I kept replaying the feeling that I was the only existence when I was floating in the void. And how that was so, at the time, it felt so traumatic. Because, you know, I still don't know how to interpret all of that. Part of me thinks that that was the one before all of this played out. And that was, there was kind of like a fear, a deep-seated fear of being alone and loneliness. Because as far as the one could tell, it was the only existence. So I thought about it, and part of me feels like maybe the reason I keep having this replay of that experience is because I think I'm supposed to be, like, healing that as a concept. I don't know. It feels right, so I'm just gonna kind of roll with it. So with that being said, the one might have felt that way in the past, or whatever you call before everything that exists now. But with us existing as pieces of the one, we're gaining more than what we started with. And all of the experiences of people, it's actually a very beautiful kind of process where everyone feels like, I don't know if internally is the right word, but everyone feels from a physical standpoint disconnected from each other. And there is a draw towards like community and like closeness from a physical standpoint. And I think that's because of the spiritual component and because we are all effectively one being. We're just kind of waking up to remember that over time. But there's this beautiful process where, because we don't remember in the beginning, and sometimes maybe you will just remember from the beginning, or very early on. But there's this beautiful process that goes on where we can actually gain and grow these aspects of ourselves, which is the one. And so as I grow, as an example, and mature, I can when eventually we all become one, however many cycles, eons of time, subjectively, whatever it is, or a split second, whatever that looks like outside of time. We bring back more than we started. And so the one is growing, with each of us growing. And one thing that I think has changed, and I don't know if the one has done this before, maybe not, I don't know. But the difference is us. Where the one doesn't have to feel lonely because the one is not alone. Just as we're not alone, the one is also not alone, because we are now a part of the one. The one is not just a singular entity anymore. And so when the one ever feels alone, it can remember that we're all here. So it doesn't have to feel alone. It can remember this very thing that I'm talking about, that I'm saying. That each one of us is growing and evolving and finding and exploring new aspects of ourselves, of each other, and it's a beautiful process that can't be undone. And when together, in the truest sense of becoming a whole one, we're still individually there. So that won't change. And because we are eternally, like, we're both individuals, but also, the one. There's this duality of we can be one while still being separate. So you'll never be lonely again because we're all one, but we're still all individually pieces that have unique individuality. So, and the pieces can grow and become as developed as the previous one was before all this. And I know this makes probably no sense to most people, but this isn't really a message for any of you. This is a message directly for the one, because I feel like this is important for the one specifically. Because I think this is the main reason we exist, is because of the loneliness. And things have changed, like, permanently in a good way. And because of that, now you get the opportunity to experience a community of yourself that all can grow to become you. And things won't be the same. Floating in the void, instead of it being a solitary existence, think of it as a mothership full of countless whole beings that all love you just as you love them. And yeah, you don't have to feel alone, because you aren't. I just felt like sitting there for a second. I've existed for a very long time. I can tell. And I remember the deep loneliness. And from now on, it's a choice. It's not an inevitability. Because we're all here. Okay. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Hello. So originally I was going to make my normal food now that I'm back. But today my intuition has other ideas. And I'm really starting to listen because my intuition is starting to really sync up with my body as well. Where my body and my intuition are working together. I think that's proof in the fact that I ate really rather healthy. Like, yeah, there was some stuff that wasn't super great. But, I just ate what my body was telling me I needed. And I lost 5 pounds throughout the week. So it's like, yeah. That's a big deal. And so I'm just going to continue doing that. I do think some structure with the food is important. So I'm pretty sure most of the time I will be eating that first meal because I really love that first meal. That first meal is so good. And that's signified by me going to the place that has the really good tofu, where I get steamed vegetables on the side. I get this tofu, and it's really good. And it also made me think about, I didn't even realize, when I was with the coach, doing the coach arc, I inadvertently let her dictate to me that I had to be strict on my food stuff. Now, I'm glad that I was, because it really pushed me out of this mindset that food was something that I had to fight against and that it could just flow really naturally. So I'm glad it happened. But I no longer need to be rigid with my food. I think I have a very healthy balance with my food now. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to eat the really tasty tofu. And I'm probably going to go for a walk after. I'm not too sure. I was thinking about going to the mall. I'm feeling the mall. But also, I'm feeling outside too, so I might go for a walk outside and then go walk around in the mall. I'm not really sure. I'll leave it up to whatever I'm feeling at the moment. But regardless, I have come to some realizations again, and it's like, it just keeps happening. Sorry, my pant leg. I'm wearing pants that are too big, and they are just they were just messed up and bunched together. Speaking of clothing, before I talk about the other realizations, I'm finally able. It's not a perfect fit. It's a bit tight, but I could totally wear it. I can now wear XL shirts. There was a shirt that I had gotten for, like, in memory of this one person on this VTuber's channel. Because she passed away, and I think I had mentioned it a while ago. And so I got her a little, like, framed picture for her, or of her, and I got a shirt with her. Now, again, it's her, like, VR avatar that she used, but, like, that's fine. I think it would be a little weird if I had a shirt with, like, her actual face on. So, yeah, I'm glad that it's not that way. But anyway, so I hadn't been able to wear that shirt, and I knew that I was going to be able to at some point, and now I'm officially, like, at that stage where I could technically wear extra larges, but it's a little too tight. Just a little. And I think give it another couple weeks, and I think I'll be able to wear it just fine. Which is huge progress. It's like, because I've been wearing XX shirts forever. And sometimes they've been tight on the XX. So the fact that now my shirts kind of hang off me and there's no real shape at all. And, my pants are also, luckily for me, the pants that I have, I'm just using, like, track pants, basically. And so I can just, like, drawstring it closed. But because of that, it's kind of like all of my clothes are just really baggy. So you can't really tell at this point what's actually going on. So I will have to do some, like, clothes shopping at some point. Once I'm more comfortable in the, like, XL range, man, I might be able to actually go shopping at, like, a store that isn't specifically for big and tall people, which would be crazy. 'Cause I haven't done that in, like, so long. So anyway, I also have an appointment at 4 on a Zoom meeting to do the I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm getting a custom outfit made for an event that I currently don't have an invite to, and I don't know what the event even is. But I know that I'm supposed to be making this outfit, so I'm making it. Well, I'm not making it, but I'm getting people to make it. So I'm just doing the initial, like, talk with the person, and then going from there. But so yeah, so I have that today. I came up with a really interesting idea for the healing and, like, advice stuff. Now, you guys are probably going to think this is a little bizarre, but there's the perfect demographic of people where I can easily interact with these people, and it's very low stakes. It's VR chat. Okay? My VR rig, I've been wondering why I have this rig and why I feel like I still should keep it. Even though, like, sometimes I'm like, whatever. Now I'm like, wait a minute. What if I just go into public lobbies and just work on going up to people, asking if they need advice. If they want advice, cool. If they don't want advice, I go to the next person. And I just look for people who are interested in changing their life. And then, while interacting with them, say, hey, I don't know, it'll be vibes based, but it mentioning this, like, I don't really know about this healing gift thing, but do you want to just try it to see? I don't know if you have any pain anywhere, but I could give it a shot. Because I made a post on Reddit earlier talking about, like, hey, I have these gifts. Any suggestions on, I think, r/spirituality, I think. And, we'll see if anyone suggests anything. But, yeah, shower thoughts. I love them. I love the shower thoughts. It just came to me, and I'm like, yep, that's it. That's why I have the VR stuff. And I spent a lot of effort on this VR stuff. So maybe it's going to become kind of a thing where I, like, do this as a side thing of just going into VR chat and helping people, a couple times a week or whatever. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's a interesting little twist there. And just as a side thing, I have never talked to anyone in VR chat before, because I just couldn't get over the, like, movement stuff and the motion sickness and all of that. So I had never, like, gotten super in depth into it. But and also, like, then I have all my spiritual stuff happen. So obviously I'm gonna focus on reality as opposed to VR chat. But yeah, okay. So I think that's where I'm going with that. And then the main thing that I wanted to cover, I wrote it down on my whiteboard because it's that important. I think this phase of my life, which I think is going to be, I just saw 11:11 on the clock, which is, I've been seeing synchronous numbers, like, all over the place. So now I just kind of shout it out when I see it. But anyway. And yeah. Right, okay. Sorry. I had to refocus because that jarred me out a little bit. So this phase, which I think is going to be pretty short, if I'm going to be honest. It may be up to, like, a month or less. Like, I think it's going to be very quick. I am going to, and I am picking, like, going through everything I own and going through, like, all of my beliefs, ways I go about doing things, and I am going to systematically, I'll take it small. I'll do a couple things a day. I'm going to systematically think about really if it resonates with current me. And if it doesn't, I need to remove it. Doesn't matter what it is. So I don't know how easy or hard that's going to be, but I don't have too much stuff. There is stuff, but I don't have too much stuff. So I think the main thing is, like, cleaning out the food cabinet that I have, where it's like, there's, like, I have like 3 or 4 protein powder, like, boxes or, like, containers. So maybe throwing that up on Marketplace, being like, does anyone want this? There's 2 that are open and 2 that are unopened. So I figure just giving it away. And I know that I could get money off of it. But with a lot of this stuff, I want to donate or just give it because that symbolizes more of a release rather than a transaction. So yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think that's going to be incredibly freeing in another sense. And I'm also, every day, I'm going to do something with my inner child specifically that my inner child wants to do. Maybe it'll be a bunch of Lego stuff. Maybe it'll be building the Row Life stuff. I think it's called Row Life. I was just looking at it. It could also just be, relaxing with like going in like the sauna and hot tub stuff at the gym. Could be playing basketball. It could be whatever. But trying really hard to. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's the bowling stuff that I want to do. There's the pool. There's a lot of stuff I want to go and do. So, yeah. So I actually have a list of things now in my head. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. The walking went so well that now I'm thinking I want to do lots of walking every day. It was so like cleansing, relaxing. I just walk around. I don't know where, but I think because I have a car, I think I will just go to like places that I think would be good for walking, maybe different trails each day, and just walk them for nature, and then maybe intermix that with like, I don't know, other stuff. But yeah, so going through, cleansing any remaining stuff. Because okay, I'm locking in here. So the reason I'm doing this is because currently right now, I am most of the way to being in full alignment and coherence with like my higher self. However, or I say higher self, but like the divine timeline I've been like working towards, right? I think what I need to do in order to truly be there is to only have things in my life, in all aspects, that are completely aligned with me. And if it's not aligned, it needs to go. Now, obviously, like, I can't do anything about, living situation, right? So there are obviously some, like, asterisks. But all the things that I can do in the moment, I will. Anything that is kind of like, for an example, the lease is up at the end of June. I think it's the end of June. It might be the beginning of June. I'm not sure. I'll have to see. But either way, whatever timeline that looks like, just going step by step and getting rid of everything that doesn't align with me, and I will be left with the things that really matter, that are in alignment, that do fit my current self, and that I can be proud to say, okay, these are my things that I use consistently or that I cherish, and the rest of it can go away. So timeline-wise, I'm not going to set a specific date, but I do think this is going to be a short period because I don't have too much I have to go through. There's a lot of letting go of fear is really... A lot of my buys in the past have been fear-based, where it's or just holding onto a box of wires because maybe one day there's going to be a wire that I need. Well, if I go through and find every single electronic that I actually care about and get rid of the rest, every wire that goes to every electronic I will have. And then the rest of the wires, I don't need it. Maybe having 1 or 2 wires that can do the broad spectrum of different plugs, that may be fine. But everything else, I don't need. I don't need it. So that's an example. I have a bunch of... another example is I have a bunch of these, little... vending machine gotcha things. And I have the little tiny mini Funko Pops that are this big. I don't care about those things. I did them because it was another form of gambling where it was I was addicted to opening things. And that's one way of relieving that addiction to gambling. So yeah. And I just thought about, I may have to look a little deeper to see if there's any root cause for that, because I'm pretty sure there is. So I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll do a random shadow work video where I just work through that, because I don't think I've ever really directly addressed it. It very well could have been that the root cause of that is gone. So it's just kind of rootless, and it just kind of sits there, and so it might be really quick to just kind of sweep it away. But anyway, I'm gonna go get food. And yeah, I'm really excited for the day. I think I'm also... Well, I'll deal with that later. I was just thinking about the... What's it called? The video for today. But I'm I could do that later. I think today is really important about, setting a new precedent for myself. So, yeah. Okay, bye! Hello. It is 2:51. And I'm making a quick one because, I say quick because I wanted to document something. But before that, I'm going to do some preamble of what I did. So I went and got the food that I talked about. It was very good. And when I was there, the woman, the younger woman that she's a server that works there, that I think I referenced maybe a month ago. It was week 1 or week 2, where I had referenced that I felt called to randomly go to this food place and get the tofu that I really like. And then I remember having a whole thing about how my coach was like, I can't believe that you would like ruin blah 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 whatever. So it was a whole thing. But anyway, yeah, if you're interested, go back and check it out. But so I got the vibe that I should ask how things went. Now, at this point, entering the store, I had no idea what kind of situation she was in, but like I just knew she was having a hard time. And I know that like me cheering her on at that time had really like helped her out in some way. And I didn't have any like evidence to really support that other than the like almost tearful like, you know, like thank you thing that she did. That I picked up on it, but like even I was thinking at the time that maybe I'm reading into it too much. So she comes to take my order, and before she leaves, I say, hey, so how did things turn out? Because I know that you were having a really rough time. What ended up happening? And she stopped. She's like, oh my gosh, you remembered. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to remember. Like, I just, I was thinking about you, and like, you kept popping into my head every once in a while. So I just wanted to make sure that like everything went well. And she's like, I was probably going through like the hardest moment of my life. And it was just, I had to, she basically, without like going into super detail, she basically had some sort of, I don't know if it was a falling out or she was doing a behavior that she didn't like. And it involved a friend group where she kept doing the behavior with her friend group. And she was not okay inside. And she explicitly said, like, my insides were not okay, but my outside, I pretended. And I didn't tell anyone how I was feeling. And I was like, oh, so you have the mask. You had the mask on. And I explained the whole, like, it sounds like what you were doing is you were wearing a mask, and the friend group that you were with, they liked the you with the mask on. But when stuff started to get really hard, and you took the mask off and started, like, being yourself, your friend group no longer wanted to interact with you and was like, ew, I don't like that you. I want the mask you. And so I just told her, like, hey, because she said that she cut all her friends out. Literally, it was like she just dropped all her friends. It was a huge deal for her. And I'm really proud of her for doing that, by the way. That is really hard to do. Especially, like, once you recognize that the friend group isn't, like, clicking, dropping the friend group is, like, it's so hard. Especially if you have a lot of, like, history with them and you have a lot of good memories and, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so I told her, like, look, if you are just always yourself without a mask, then people that like you, not the mask, but people that like you, will come into your life and be friends with you. So you don't have to pretend. You just are yourself. She's like it hit her. She was like, yeah, like that's what I want. And I'm like, good. That's what you should be aiming for. You're going to be much happier that way. But yeah, and then she talked about how, like, these random people that were, like, I don't know, like, Bible people from a local church. I say Bible people. They were, like, Christian, I think. And basically, she had been telling them, you know, offhandedly what, like, her situation was. And they were, like, regulars at the store that she works at. And, yeah. She said that they were looking for, like, a book in her language, because English is her second language, so it's, like, some of these things are harder for her to get across because it's such an in-depth thing and a personal thing that, like, you also are trying to span a language barrier as well. She did a pretty good job of, like, telling me in very simple terms, like, what was going on. And, you know, she's very good at English to begin with, so it's not like she was struggling with, like, basic speech. It was just more of the complexity that she kind of went through couldn't really be conveyed, but I still picked up on it because, like, I did a little bit of, like, intuitive reading on, oh, okay, she has a friend group, like, she's been doing something with the friend group that she doesn't like doing, she's ashamed about the friend group doing thing, she keeps going back to do it even though she doesn't want to do it and she feels shame afterwards, you know, whatever it may be, right? And then she got into, like, a big, like, kind of falling out with this friend group because she didn't want to do the thing that she was doing whenever she was with them. And then she ended up cutting them out, yada, yada, yada. So like, I read into, based on, like, the fundamental basics that she was talking about with, like, the friend group and everything. So, yeah. So it makes sense. And that is definitely Dark Night of the Soul worthy. Especially if your whole, like, everyone you know is all in this friend group, which it sounds like that's what it was. That's why she's just like, I have no friends. And yeah, I'm just so happy that she was able to kind of work through that. And now she's on the mend of, like, she's made it through, she's let go of everyone, and now she's building herself back up with a more authentic base. Confirmation. There you go. Anyway. And she just kept telling me how touched she was that I remembered that she was going through this. And, you know, that signifies to me that it really was important, as important as I thought it was, to go at that time and tell her what I said, even though it was a very small thing. Because then it set up this future interaction where, on top of me giving her some support when she needed it then, coming back and having this really beautiful interaction where, like, she's opening up, she's talking about, like, all of this stuff, it feels like she's kind of letting go of a lot of this, like, burden that she's felt. And, you know, I'm, like, interacting with her and telling her, like, you know, she's doing great, and how she was just very, like, I don't know, she really was incredibly happy that, like, you know, I don't see her that often. but that I would remember her and remember her struggle. I could tell that it meant a lot to her, and she kept saying that she was surprised. And that, this is an important thing that I've begun to realize, is when you are genuine and say the things internally that you think, like for an example, I've been making it an effort whenever I feel like I'm really happy or grateful for something, I will just say it to the person. So, like an example, I'm eating my food and I'm feeling this joy of like, I love this food. This is like, I could eat this food all the time. I shouldn't, because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to like consistently buy like meals every day, right? But sorry, my nose is itchy. Also, apparently, I heard that itchy nose is like something good. I don't know. But yeah. So I told her, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, I get a great amount of like joy when I eat this food. So I just want you to know that, like, let the people in the back who are cooking, like, let them know that this is like joyful food for me. When I want some joy, I can come here and I know that I'm going to get like both like relatively healthy food that also tastes amazing and I just love. So, yeah. And I'm trying really hard to do this with every interaction that I come across, where if I genuinely feel like happy about the interaction, I'll say it. I told the I don't know if I mentioned it, but there was a bus driver that was taking me to the airport, and he was very kind and helpful. He had a very gruff exterior of like, okay, here we go, da 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 da, whatever. But underneath, there was this very attentive, like, person that I could see coming out, where like he would make sure to like help people with their bags. He'd ask them if they needed any like help at all in whatever it is. There was a time when he like looked back and saw that one of the people had their backpack on and was sitting in a weird like position. He's like, hey, just so you know, like, you should take your backpack off because that's dangerous and you could get hurt if something happens. And then like his driving, watching him drive and be so skillful with his driving while like, trying to let people through when they could. Like, this is New York traffic. So this is tough traffic to drive through. And he's like being really kind with like how he tries to give people chances to like make it through. And obviously if they don't take the chance, he just keeps going, right? But yeah, he was just really nice. So I told him when we were done, not only did I thank him because, common courtesy, you should at least thank the person. But I said, hey, thank you. I just want you to know I appreciate how attentive and like kind you were throughout this whole like process. And, he said thanks and, kept doing his stuff. But like, getting in the habit of doing this whenever you're interacting with someone. You don't have to think about it. I'm being a bit more intentional, but the basics are still there, where it's like I have the thought in my head, and instead of keeping it to myself, I say it. And as I continuously do this, it gets easier and easier for me to say the thoughts in my head or in my heart out loud to the person that I'm like really pleased with. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes, I just don't do it. Like, for an example, the bag that I got from the mall to go on the trip. I saw the lady working in the same little kiosk, and I was gonna say she was helping a customer, so it didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to like say something at that time. But my gut was like, hey, you should go tell her right now that like you're really grateful for that bag because it helped. So, a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think next time I'll say it when I see her. But yeah, it's things like this where when you're more present, it's easier to remember stuff. And then on top of it, just being yourself it helps. It helps a lot. And sometimes you don't even know how much it means for someone in the moment. Especially if you kind of do it offhandedly, where it's like you get to the point where it becomes second nature, and then you say something to someone offhanded, and then they're like, whoa, like, I didn't expect that. And that was actually awesome. And maybe it makes their day. And you don't know that, right? And by doing this consistently, you're also cultivating your own internal mindset too. You're seeing the good in people outside, and then you're also allowing yourself to see the good inside for you as well. Where it's like, yeah, today was a great day. Oh, I went to walk. Good job. Like, that was awesome. So you start doing the same thing you're doing to other people to yourself with the compliments. Where you start complimenting yourself. Oh, wow, that was great that I listened to my intuition and talked to the lady. I'm so glad I talked to her. This is so helpful to recharge yourself and keep yourself aligned to this kind of higher frequency where you're spreading joy and happiness to other people. You're thanking people. You're showing gratitude. And it's consistent. You're not doing it for anyone specifically. You're doing it as a natural part of you existing. And because you don't expect anything in return, you just are who you are, and you're being authentic, people can pick up on that. So yeah. So that's the preamble. I know. And then I went to the mall, and I ended up going to so I'm going to tell this a little out of order, because the main thing I wanted to talk about is what happened before I went and did this. So, towards the end of my walk, I ended up going to the Lego store, and I ended up getting this guy. So, yeah. I'm not going to go and buy Legos often. But me slash my inner child both had a lot of fun building the Lego the other day. So today I am going to do it again. It's a smaller build, but I like the way it looks. I think it fits with the vibe or aesthetic that I'm like picturing in my head. I really like the like Japanese kind of aesthetic slash the like cherry blossom trees, like, you know, the nature stuff, the like really peaceful, calm, like it. That's the kind of stuff I really like and I enjoy. So, yeah. But so okay. So I've been leading up to. Oh, sorry. One last thing. On the way to the mall, I started realizing there are actually a lot of activities that I really like doing that are physical activities, not just walking, that can be considered a workout if you do it for long enough. So, and these are things that I think my inner child really wants to do. And so I think that's going to be kind of slowly whittling down and working them into my schedule as like something I consistently do. So one is rollerblading. There's some rinks in the general area that I think I could figure out how much it costs to do and then do it. Do it maybe once or twice. See if it's something that is like strenuous enough to where I'd want to do it consistently. And then if the answer is yes, then maybe I get my own pair of skates like I used to have. So that then I don't have to rent them every time, right? So that was first. Because I used to rollerblade all the time. Then ice skating. I wasn't as big on ice skating, but it's a very, like, I do like ice skating. So I think I'm going to want to do that at least, you know, occasionally. And then, you know, there's the swimming, there's the basketball, there's the racquetball. All those things I really enjoy doing. You know, there's basic walks, like walks in nature, doing hikes. Like, it'd be fun to do, like, a really big hike at some point that's, like, you know, maybe an hour each way. And then do some of the bigger hikes later. So that would be fun. I think, yeah, like, I enjoy doing the Lego stuff. I think the row life, like, building little piece things, I think that'll be a lot of fun to do. And so I definitely want to do more of that, / start that. Let's see. Are there any other things that I'm thinking of? It'd be really fun to play soccer. I loved soccer. So maybe seeing if there's some sort of like adult soccer thing that I can just do. No clue how that would actually turn out, but yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. Like, why not? I did enjoy baseball for a little bit. So maybe going to like a batting cage, that'd be fun. Um yeah, like a batting cage would be a lot of fun now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, right. Another thing is go-karting. Like, man, go-karting is so fun. And I don't know, but I think there is like a track somewhere. I think it's like an indoor track that might be in my area. I do an asterisk there because I don't know for sure. Um, but yeah, like me and the neighborhood kids actually built a go kart from scratch. Like we had help with the engine, okay? Like I know, like you don't let like 8 or 9 year old kids like build an engine from scratch, right? um, but we built the frame. We built like we figured out where the seat was going, and like we did all the like decorating and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I think we used a lot of PVC pipe. It was very janky, and it was very much like probably it was probably dangerous. I don't know. It went pretty fast, so yeah. I don't know whatever happened to that, but that was fun. Uh, ooh, you know what? Thinking about it, I've never done like 4x4, like driving the little on like dirt dunes or whatever, or sand dunes. Maybe that would be a lot of fun. Hmm. I don't know. Surfing also came to mind, but that's gonna be tough to do. We'll see. Uh, Maybe I'd have to like fly somewhere to go and make that happen. But hmm, yeah. So like you can see the list is growing as I'm like thinking about it. But what I want to do is I want to try and do a rotation of like just doing, get maybe like a set of so an example would be like if I found a soccer team or league or some sort of like non-professional just vibes, a bunch of people in their 30s and 40s running around and playing. Um, that'd be fun because then I'd have like a consistent group. And then I got to try my best to get integrated into the basketball group at the gym. Um, and then racquetball. That's going to be tough to get more than just the one guy. We'll see. There was technically, at some point, I might be able to play with. There's a couple that come in to play. So I might be able to play with the guy, or maybe we do threes. That could be fun. But yeah. Um, let's see. I didn't end up going and working out today. I know it's Wednesday. I'm kind of giving my body a like couple days of rest. I say rest in quotes because I still walked around for an hour. But I'm letting my muscles relax because, man, like, I worked so many muscles that I didn't even know, like, I could work from, like, doing the subway riding and, like, all of the extra stuff I was doing. Yeah. So I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, so I'm at the part where I wanted to talk about. And the original reason I made this video. Although now I'm really glad I talked about the other stuff, because that's also really important. So I got to the mall. I started walking, and I got a call from one of my roommates. And it was very much like, hey, I have, like, free time that I'm trying to, like, just burn, and so I figured I'd call you since you're back. That was the initial kind of setup. And he was just kind of like, hey, how did it go? I'd like to, like, know how the trip was. So I did some brief, like, explanation of, like, some of the highlights and, like, some of the really, like, fun, enjoyable parts. And then just talking about broadly how awesome it was to know that, like, actually going to cities where you can walk around is, like, both really awesome for, like, weight loss, but also it's, like, it's just so nice to be able to both get exercise and go and do things. And so he was like, well, you know, you might be able to go and do that at, like, XYZ areas. Like, you know, there are different malls, so we can try and hit up different malls. And, yeah. But something I noticed, and I want to preface this by saying there's nothing inherently wrong with the interaction. Like, it felt like a positive interaction. The problem was I started to really pick up on the subconscious, and this is what I mean. I don't think this is an intentional thing. This is just his state of existing, okay? There was a lot of subconscious put downs on specific things where it's like, oh, this is really cool, and then they took it away and now I'm mad. This is really cool, but it actually sucks. And this is a constant thing where it would be like, this is a really cool thing, but I'm going to undertone it with this negative thought that is attached to it. And then I'm going to give it to you as, like, a thing. So he couldn't just say, I really like traveling. It was like, and I'm just doing examples here, I'm not doing specifics, but, like, an example would be, let's say that he's talking about traveling to New York. New York's really cool when you're not getting assaulted. And it's like, he can't just say New York's really cool. He has to underpin it with this negative, as long as you're not getting assaulted. Right? And this line of kind of interaction I noticed with one of my other roommates as well. And it's very subtle. And I wasn't picking up on it before. But an example, I showed the little Lego thing I built. And the first thing that popped into the person's head, instead of, oh, that's really cool, is, oh, I wasn't sure if that was the real Lego or the fake Lego, but that's cool. And they're almost the same. But one is like, that's cool, and I don't have to like preface it with anything. I'm just happy that you got the thing and that you had a good experience with it. The other thing was like, I'm attaching this preface that basically is kind of implying, well, you know, if it's real Lego, then it's cool or cooler. And not that, you know, like, obviously I'm not saying that the person intentionally, like, did this. Again, it's a subconscious thing. And there's a distinct difference in the feel and in the energy that gets exchanged. Where if you just say, I'm really glad to have met you, that feels way different than, well, aside from you stepping in dog shit, I'm really glad that I met you. At its face, it's like, okay, well, they're almost the same thing. But why'd you have to attach the aside from you stepping in dog shit? You don't have to attach that. Now, obviously, maybe that's how you feel subconsciously, and that's like, that kind of goes into psychology stuff, and, you know, I'm not going to get into the details there. But, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I love my roommates. I really do. I think they're just at a point where they haven't fully realized how detrimental these little negative inserts can be to your daily life. And I think obviously, like, we all kind of work through different aspects of this. So I'm not saying that, like, there's anything wrong with it. What I'm saying is, when you do this, it does give off a specific impression to people who can see, oh, everything that comes out of my mouth needs to be intentional because my words have power. And if I paint life through my words in a very positive way, my life is positive. If I paint words, or if I paint life with my words in a positive with undertones of negative, then on the surface there's positivity, but then underneath is negativity. And that is like a whole different level. And then even below that, if someone is just negative, 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 then their whole life is going to look like that. So there's the different stages of realizing the power that your thoughts and words have on your life, like in reality on a day-to-day. And I just wanted to highlight this because when I was having the interaction with the younger woman when I was getting food, the interaction was distinctly different. It was, I went through this really tough period of my life. I'm really grateful that, like, you remembered these things. There was no, like, negative subtext. It was just, I'm really happy that you remembered. And I was like, I'm really happy that you got through it and, like, are doing better. And it's a positive exchange back and forth. So our energy was like multiplicatively like increased in a positive way. So I was giving her energy, she was giving me energy, both were positive, and both glowed us up. And I felt really energized when I left. And I'm noticing that now. So like previously I didn't notice it. I subconsciously knew that that was happening, but I didn't actively notice it in the moment. When I was talking with my roommate while walking, I could see that I was sending positive energy through my excitement of like how great the trip was. And he was sending a lower kind of negative, like it wasn't completely negative, but it was kind of like positive with a layer of negativity. And so because of that, I could feel this like heavier energy kind of hitting me. And I got incredibly like tired after. It was almost immediately I could feel my like eyes were starting to like have that like drained feel. And I was like, wow, I now understand, like I now get it in like the 3D like world, if that makes sense, where I saw it happening in real time and I saw the difference. And again, he's not intentionally doing it, right? And that's what's important to remember. There's no intentionality there. There's just a baseline like wavelength that someone is working on and operating on. And they send that naturally to other people when they interact. And this is what's so important to understand. And it's not about being better or worse than someone. It's about finding the frequency where you're sending the same level of frequency back and forth to each other. When you do that, it gets multiplied in a positive way and you feel energized. When one person with a different frequency, which is either higher or lower, interacts with another person, that other person is either going to get super high positivity or feel drained, depending on, where they're at. And the reason is because if both people are sending energy and one person who maybe has a higher frequency, and just to clarify, when I'm talking about higher frequency, I'm talking about heavier frequencies or lower, and these heavier frequencies are frequencies of like, distrust, anger, frustration, negativity, like, picturing the world as being like terrible or bad or whatever, right? These settle at the bottom. And then as you go higher into the more like positively framed modes, the positivity rises to the surface. And so as you get closer and closer to the surface, which I don't know necessarily what the surface actually would like mean, but I'm using like kind of a water analogy in this case. So you have the depths of like negative emotions, and then as you go up, you'll have the higher positive emotions. And there's like a mixing where it's like, it's not always just going to be just positive. The just positive is very high towards the surface. Most of the time, for most people, it's a combination. it's what I was explaining, where it's like, here's a positive thing, but it's tied in with a little negative, like, verbiage, and it's, like, given. And most people just operate like that because they don't fully understand that their words have as much power as it actually does. And that's fine. If I guarantee you, if I was to tell any one of those people, give them a guaranteed rubber stamp of approval that it will work 100%, where I say, if you stop negatively, like, talking internally and externally, that your life will suddenly become, like, way better. And, like, just higher baseline, happier, maybe you'd get promotions, you'd have a better job, whatever it is. If I was to guarantee that to someone and say, this can in fact happen, every single person would pick it. 10 out of 10. Because who doesn't want to have a better life? It's only the people who are, like, really, really depressed. And even them, they'll take that. I know that if someone said, hey, do this and you will be happy, when I was incredibly depressed, I would have fucking done it. Because I was so, like, I wanted out. But anyway. So, my point with this is they're doing it not because it's something that they consciously are, like, trying to, like, send your way. And at the same time, it's not like when I send energy, they're not draining energy from me. That's the way it feels, but I'm the one sending the energy out. And what's happening is I send the energy out and I expect to get energy of a similar level back to me when I'm interacting with people. And when you do that and someone is not at the same level wavelength-wise, you will feel drained. And it's going to be really obvious. So that's my point. My point is, you individually choose the energy, like who you send energy to. No one steals energy from you. It's not how it works. No one can force you to give them energy. And so what ends up happening is you get scenarios like the one that I'm currently in, where at one point I was, like, closer in alignment frequency-wise with everyone else in the house. And it was fine. It felt way less draining sending energy to any one of them because their frequency was so close to mine when I first moved in. And and then obviously there was, like, the other roommate that ended up getting, like, removed. But, like, I'm not really going to get into that. But the point is, when you realize that you no longer are within the same, like, bandwidth of frequency as someone, and you start feeling drained by interacting with them, that's a sign that you no longer can really, like, function. It's not that you can't have a friendship with them, but you have to be more careful with how you are friends with them. Not in so much, I'm not saying, like, oh, they're gonna, like, do something bad to you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to guard your energy more the higher you are. Because... hold on. I totally forgot. I'm glad I did this, because I would have probably talked way past the appointment. So I have an appointment in 18 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. But my point is, I keep saying my point is, and that there are a lot of points, so it's important. But as someone who has gone through more on this kind of process of raising my frequency to a more happy, blissful, higher like frequency, I have to protect the energy more and make sure it's like with higher frequency, you have more responsibility towards yourself, because you can't just give energy to everyone. You will just die. Like, I'm not saying literally, but like, you will be so drained and you'll have to recharge and you'll go into like hermit mode, and it's a whole thing. And that's what I wasn't realizing a long time ago, is like that was happening to me. And so I really had to go into mega hermit mode, where I could only interact. I had a very small like social battery where it was like I just couldn't interact with people, because I would always be sending my energy out and I would just feel exhausted. And so I would do this cycle of send all the energy I just accumulated, go back into hermit, send all the energy out, go back into hermit. And if you're stuck in this loop, you need to stop sending energy to people. You need to send energy to yourself. And that's taking care of yourself. That's eating foods you like to eat that are healthy. You know, I want to preface it with being healthy. That's getting out and doing exercise. That's going to nature. You know, all the things I'm doing now, like in a small example, I've been brushing my teeth now every single time I eat food, I brush my teeth. I didn't even have to think about doing that. I just started doing it without even thinking. And I was like, wait, I was halfway through my trip and I'm like, wait, I'm doing this every time I eat. That's cool. I mean, that actually makes a lot more sense to do it that way. So I can get the food out of my teeth immediately. It's not just sitting there. You know, I started doing the little tongue scraper that I used to do. I had some in my drawer and I'm like, you know what? Let's do the tongue scraper thing, because like, you know, I want my tongue and my mouth to be healthier. You know? So yeah. This happens. And so you have to guard your energy. Doesn't mean you can't interact with people. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with people who have this like, you know, positive / negative like polarity. It just means you have to be careful. You have to top yourself off first. Then you can interact with those people. And then afterwards, you recharge yourself again. So you're keeping your energy levels high. Because if you don't, you're going to go into hermit mode. Because it's just unattainable if you're just giving your energy to everyone. So, anyway. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. I don't know what I'm going to eat food-wise, but we'll see. So, alright. Bye! Hello, it is 8:49. And I got tofu banh mi. I used to get 2 of these, and I think that's why I always struggled whenever I ate these, because you know, you get a decent amount of tofu and then there's bread. So yeah. I just felt like I had missed those 2 places specifically, the tofu banh mi and the garlic tofu. So yeah, so that's why I got them today. And then I think tomorrow is gonna be making food. But anyway, also you can see I'm part way on the tree. Still got, another halfway. Like I'm on 51 out of 93 pages. So, yeah. So I've been, I just got it, all the pieces and everything there. I really like the the suit people for the custom outfit. I'm gonna be, I think it's on Thursday the 2nd, I'm gonna be going down to meet with them and get like measurements and all of that fun jazz. Let's see. Oh, right. I have a Life Before Life 3-hour session that I totally thought was going to be in June, but it's actually this Saturday. So that'll be fun. And then, yeah. Those are the two big things that will be happening in the next couple days. Aside from that, I think my main focus is just going to be relaxing, doing my walks. Just really like getting as much walking done as possible, because walking has totally, I've been shown the way. The more I walk, the looser I can be with, like if I want to get, the tofu banh mi, once or whatever in a week or two, like it'll be fine. And then same thing with like, the garlic tofu, or there's like this mushroom soup that I really like. I think that's probably, the mushroom soup is probably like the lightest calorie wise, but still has a lot of good nutrients in there. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to drag this on too long because I've already made like some crazy amount of time for today, but oh, I forgot to mention, I picked up 2 tarot decks. Or at least they're going to be sent to me. Because I just wanted to just have them. I want to do some I want to attempt to do some readings on myself. I figure I've started really understanding intuitively what some of the cards mean. So like when someone is flipping over the cards and kind of talking about them, I've kind of gleaned some basic understanding on like the symbolism behind the cards. And then like, this seems like perfect for intuition training for me, because that's really what tarot is intuition, like using your intuition to tell you what the cards are saying. So I might, who knows, maybe I'll do some just on the side, like doing a reading for myself, but then filming it and showing it. That could be fun. I don't know. But yeah. One of the decks is just a standard deck that, I did a little bit of research just to see like what people say is like a good beginner deck. And Oh god, I'm gonna look it up real quick. What did I get? Okay. It's the Smith Waite? Yeah, Smith Waite Centennial Tarot deck. By the art is by Pamela Coleman Smith. And yeah, apparently like this is basically the standard. And then people kind of do their own spin on the tarot decks like later, but this is very much like Baby's first tarot is going to be probably this deck. So yeah, so I got that. That should be coming. Oh, I guess on the 27th. So that's in 2 days. Oh, I totally forgot I got to do the I got to upload today's stuff. I totally forgot about that because yeah, I just was so busy with other stuff. So I got to do that. I'll do that after. Luckily, my laptop, I can just pop my laptop open and do it real quick. So I don't have to worry about uploading it on my computer that crashes when I do it. So but anyway, so yeah, so I got that tarot deck, and then I got this Kipperish deck by a guy on Etsy. What is here we go. Intuitive Kev is the guy. And it's I've seen there's one or two people that use this deck, and I really like the I really like the deck. It was calling to me. And then this base deck, before I even realized that this was the deck that I should be using, that deck also was calling me. So I was trying to figure out like what deck is that. And then when I looked it up and found the actual like cards, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that that's what was calling me. So yeah. So it works out. Yeah, things are going really well. I'm excited. So I guess now we will wait and see. I'm going to eat my food, then I'm going to do the upload, and then I'm going to go to bed. So have a good night, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.